Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of Business and Financial Raw Talk, a no-holds-barred forum for leaders and innovators. I am LaWanna Bradford with the Bradford Group as well as the Bradford Group Consulting. And I have an amazing guest who you've seen on our platform many, many times, Miss TRACY Oriyomi. How's it going, TRACY?
It's going wonderful, LaWanna. It's so good to see you as always. Such a delight.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said yes to join us. Just for those of you who may not know TRACY, TRACY is a financial consultant with Wealth Waves. Her over 15 years of experience in the financial industry has fueled her with a passion to help to change the narrative around finances, to help people change their money story, but more importantly, to give them the education and the tools and strategies to help them to build wealth for the future and also income for today. So I just wanted to have her on this platform for two reasons. Number one, her expertise is amazing. But number two, she has been for the past 2 years, one of our speakers at our upcoming our upcoming Financial Wellness Boot Camp for Women. And I hate that she won't be able to make it this year because she has another commitment, but I said, I've got to get her on the platform so you guys could hear some words of wisdom from this amazing woman.
You got to change that date, LaWanna, so I can be there. I'm serious. You got to change the date. I hate that I'm not going to be there unless you change the date.
I know. Oh, we can't change the date this time, but we'll figure out something.
Okay.
Well, TRACY, you and I, we talk all the time about finances in our independent lanes. We have the opportunity this weekend. We shared a room in Clubhouse and we were discussing with women about how do you break through those financial barriers. And tonight we're going to talk about, and I love how you call it, do you have sleep at night money? And some of our listening audience may be saying, what are they talking about? So TRACY, I'm going to turn it over to you. You want to just share what we mean about sleep at night money?
Absolutely. It's so critical that you have your sleep at night money. This is money that is going to make you comfortable sleeping at night in case something happens. In other words, this is your rainy day fund. This is your emergency fund. This is money that you can put your hands on if something happens. And we all know that emergencies do happen. We just saw where 40 million people lost their jobs last year due to the pandemic. And we saw what a crisis that caused. So many people were struggling and waiting to get those checks from the government. It's so important to have that sleep at night money, or that rainy day fund, as my grandmother used to call it, because we know that emergencies happen. Yes. What if you lose your job? What if your car breaks down? What if you have
like my neighbor across the street? I happened to look out this morning and they had a plumbing truck and a backhoe. I don't know what water damage they had going on inside the house, but they had to dig up half their yard today. And I thought, oh my goodness, all I could see was, dollar signs.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And a lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck, so they don't have an emergency fund. So if an emergency happens, they have to, run up a credit card or borrow the money. But a good rule of thumb is to have 3 to 6 months at a minimum. Some are even saying now with the pandemic, 6 to 12 months. But at a minimum, you should have 3 to 6 months worth of income set aside for emergencies. Set aside for your sleep at night money.
And TRACY, that is a good rule of thumb. And I'm going to play devil's advocate here. So it's like, okay, TRACY, that sounds good. And maybe you're able to do that, or LaWanna or other people, but I happen to be this is a woman saying, I happen to be that person living paycheck to paycheck. So how can she begin to put a little bit away to start building that sleep at night money?
Well, something she can do if she's a W-2 employee, she can go to her employer, go to her HR department, and have them adjust her W-4. Just by having that W-4 adjusted, you can see an extra couple of $100 back into your paycheck. So instead of letting Uncle Sam use that money all year, you can use that money up front right away. So that's one thing you can do. And another thing you can do is potentially do something else to increase your cash flow, which means you might have to pick up a second job, start a business to increase that cash flow. Take your lunch to work instead of, well, I know a lot of people are working from home now, but for those that are not working from home and they're eating out every day for lunch, perhaps you can take your lunch to work a few days a week and just start where you are. If you can save, maybe you can only save $5 a week or $10 a week, but just start where you are.
Now, I love what you're saying, Tracy, because you're right. If we start where we are, get out of the judgment zone, give yourself some grace, you'd be amazed at how not only will the money add up, but what you're building is discipline, right? And commitment to taking care of your money and putting it and setting it aside. Like you said, that emergency fund, that sleep at night money. And I love the two examples that you gave, you gave a couple, 3 examples, whether it's getting another job, starting a business, adjusting your W-4. But what I do every year at tax, and I use April because that's tax time, is I always take all of my expenses and I look at them. So if it's subscriptions that I may have, if it's my cell phone, I look at all of my usage, and then I pick up the phone and I call the provider to see what can I negotiate. Every single year, without fail, I'm able to negotiate a lower price point because I come at it from the angle, I've been your client for all these years. What can you do for me? Right? Or even your credit cards. People think the rate is the rate, but you can negotiate a lower interest rate if you've been paying on time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, I do that for my mom, because she's, in her 80s, and I do that for her. I call her cable company and I say, my mom is a senior citizen. What can you do for her? She's been paying on this bill forever. What kind of specials do you have? So I do that for her. And I need to do that for myself. So you're right about that, LaWanna, making sure that you can get those reduced interest rates. Because you know what? Between 30 to 39% of our income goes to interest. We're paying interest, unnecessary interest.
Exactly. And here's one that I'm going to give everyone. And I want to thank Sharon Mathis for telling me, because I bought, and some of them have heard this story before, I bought a new car 2 years ago, November 2019, right before the pandemic, because mine had been totaled in an accident. Well, do you know, Tracy, in almost 2 years, I have less than 5,000 miles on that car. Well, at the beginning of this year, I was having a conversation with Sharon, and she said, well, LaWanna, you can call your insurance, have it adjusted, because now it's, this occasional car. It's not, you're not using it for routine commuting. And I lowered my rate. And obviously, when I start driving more, I can increase it. So those of you who may be working at home and not pulling the mileage on your car, you may be surprised at what you can even save there.
That's a good point, LaWanna. I actually did that last year with my auto insurance company. I was able to get a discount because I was working from home and my husband's working from home. So absolutely, yes, call your insurance provider and see about getting that discount. That is very important. And I think a lot of companies are doing that.
They are. And the thing that's so important, Tracy, is you don't know what you don't know, right? And that's why being around people like Tracy, who's a financial consultant, or me in the mortgages, or other financial experts, if you have your team around you, they'll start sharing information with you to help you manage your finances better. Don't you agree?
Absolutely, because we have to be good stewards of our money. Absolutely. And a lot of people are paying for subscriptions that they have completely forgotten about. When I sit down and do a financial checkup, take a snapshot of where your money is going. Some of it is going to subscriptions that people have completely forgotten about. Completely. And that's money coming out of your checking account every month.
And it's so easy when it's those small amounts, right? It's you signed up for something and it's $9.99 a month or $12.99. And it's so small that you don't think about it. But then you add that over the course of a year, multiply by however many you may have like that. That may be $1,000 or so a year that could be going toward investment or toward that sleep at night money.
Absolutely. And I like to call that your only money. Oh, your it's only money. Oh, well, it's only $9.99. Oh, it's only $25. Oh, it's only $50. Oh, it's only this. But if, like you said, if you add that up by the end of the year, that it's only has cost you $1,000 or $2,000 or $500. That's money that can be in your bank account.
Right. Now, I'd like you to take that same principle and talk specifically to our entrepreneurs, because as you said, most people are working from home. And what are we being bombarded with? All of these training opportunities, right? And the trainings are, well, it was $1,000, but today for you, it's only $99. And entrepreneurs are signing up for these trainings left and right. But how much training can you actually take and implement? So Tracy, I want you to talk a little bit about just how we can be training so much that we are creating, I don't want to call it a debt, but we are minimizing our cash flow because of where we're putting that money.
Absolutely. We have to be strategic about what we're doing. We have to be strategic with the trainings that we're taking. Because if we're just training and not implementing, that's costing money as well. So be very, very strategic and very picky about the trainings that you're taking to make sure that you're going to get a great ROI on those trainings.
Love that. And for those of you that may not know, ROI, return on investment. So always think about that. And also think about your time, because time equals money.
Absolutely.
So if you're sitting in training, but you're an entrepreneur, when are you spending time delivering your product or service so that you can have that return of cash flow to yourself? So really, really pay attention to that.
That's a really good point, LaWanna, because I get bombarded all the time with emails for, trainings and so forth. And I did take one training class that someone I met on Clubhouse. I took a social media course, which was really good. But yeah, you do have to be mindful of all the various trainings out there.
Yeah, I know. One of my examples of training gone bad. I invested $6,000 in this training, right? But I didn't read the fine print. So sometimes when you go to events or you're in a virtual setting, you get pulled by the hype, right? You just let the emotions fuel you. So I'm like, okay, this sounds good. The crazy thing, Tracy, do you know I paid for training for something that I actually train on?
Really?
I was cracking up. I saw the title and the title seemed different. But then when I read the fine print after I'd signed on the dotted line and got home, I'm like, wait a minute, this is what I do. Why did I pay this? And I couldn't get a refund.
I was just going to ask you, did you get a refund?
I did not get a refund.
Oh my. So did you take the training? Did you go ahead with it?
It was a waste of my time. So that's where I had to evaluate, okay, I spent this money. Okay, that was already mistake number one. Now I can take my time and sit in something that's not going to benefit me. So I had to say, I just got to cut bait, bad investment. and let it go.
Well, you can write it off. That's the good part about it. You can write it off.
Yes. Yes, I definitely did that.
Yeah. And LaWanna, did you know that September is Prosperity Month?
Prosperity Month. No,
Yes, I saw that online last week that September is Prosperity Month. And it's the 9th month of the year. And what happens during the 9th month of the year? Birth. Birth is given at the 9th month, which means we need to give birth to new attitudes about money. We need to give birth to new attitudes about money. It's time to deliver. In the 9th month, we deliver. So it's time to deliver new attitudes about money, how we're spending our money, and being good stewards of our money so that we can be prosperous.
Yes. So you just said, when we're giving birth to those new attitudes about money, what are some of the biggest blocks that you find in your business with your clients that women have in getting over those blocks with money? What's the biggest hurdle that you found?
Well, they feel that they're not able to save money. A lot of women feel like it's too late for them, and it's never too late. They feel like, it's too late for them and they're going to have to work for the rest of their lives, that they're not going to be able to retire. And I just tell everybody to just start where you are. Don't worry about what has happened in the past. Worry about right now. Don't worry about what happened in the past with your money. Your money, the past is gone. Just look towards the future. But a lot of women feel like it's too late for them. They're in their 50s and they feel like it's too late. But it's not too late. Just start.
I like that. And what's amazing, Tracy, is you can have individuals that are making, and I'll say a modest income, so maybe $50,000 a year, but yet they are able to retire as millionaires. And then you have individuals that are making $250,000 a year, living paycheck to paycheck. Mm-hmm. And I love the story that you give of your grandmother, how just in her limited education, yet she had a sense of financial stewardship that planted seeds in you and other members of the family. Can you share that story? I just love hearing you share it every time.
Absolutely, LaWanna. Now, my grandmother was born in 1920, and she only had a 5th grade education. She never made much money in her life. But she always said, you know what, baby, if I only made $5 a week, I saved $2. So she was an avid saver. And she said something to me. She said, it's not what you make, it's what you keep. And that is so true. It's not how much you make, it's what you keep. Because like you said, there are people making $250,000, but they're living paycheck to paycheck. So it's what you keep. And she said something to me because I asked her, I said, how did you become so astute with your money? She said when she was about 35 years old, she realized that one day she was going to get old. And she said she realized that she had to start preparing for her older days while she was young. So she just started saving her money, putting her money away. LaWanna, when I was in college, she brought a brand new car and paid cash for it. A brand new car and paid cash for it. A woman with limited education, limited finances, but she took care of her money. And I just learned so much from her. How many of us can pay cash for a car today? Just go and pay cash. And she was able to do that with limited resources, but she knew the value of a dollar, and she knew how to stretch a dollar.
Yeah, and I think we've lost some of that. And I get, cost of living hasn't caught up with the cost of inflation. It hasn't kept up with the cost of inflation. But when we think about where we stand now, with everything has to be right now, right? We're the microwave generation. I want it now. I want it now. Instant gratification. You can't get to where your grandmother was if you always need to have it right now. Right, Tracy?
That's right. That's right. And we have to stop trying to keep up with the Joneses. And I'd like to say, don't go broke. Don't go broke trying to look like you're not broke. Don't go broke trying to act like you're not broke. Does that make sense?
Yes, I'm doing
that. Don't go broke trying to look like you're not broke.
No, I hear you. That's powerful. I want to just sit there because we know that there are people out there. It's the imposter. It's like I want to have the best car. I'm seeing what my neighbors are doing. I've got to go out and buy the latest and greatest, the fashions, whatever it is. But then you're struggling, because I was reading an article. So many women are struggling to put diapers on their babies, but yet when you see them, their hair and nails are done. That's right. An issue. And that was actually a study from Pampers, because Pampers has a campaign that's out there to help put diapers on babies.
Wow.
So, think about our priorities, right?
Misplaced priorities. Absolutely. Absolutely. And we have to make sure that we're not spending more than we make. You can't spend more than you make. You got to look at what's coming in and what's going out. We just cannot continue to spend more than we make.
It makes me think about, most people aren't writing checks anymore, but years ago, I attended a financial workshop probably 20 years ago, and they were talking about this very topic about don't spend more than you make. And they had a client that came and they were just so upset about, the bank was going to collect on them because of all of these fraudulent checks that they were writing. And the person said, what do you mean? Aren't you balancing your checkbook? And she's like, well, no, I just thought as long as I had checks, I had money.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
And I think about, now with people with credit cards, right? They just keep charging and spending to the limit, or then going and saying, hey, I need to increase my limit, knowing they cannot satisfy that debt. Because anytime you're using other people's money, you are being indebted to that lender of the money. Right, Tracy?
Absolutely. And the interest, oh my God, LaWanna, when I got out of college, I had a Sears credit card, and it took me forever to pay that card off. I could not understand why I couldn't pay the card off. And it was because I was only paying the minimum payment. Do you know, by the time I finished paying that card off, like 7 or 8 years later, I wasn't wearing the clothes anymore that I charged. I wasn't wearing the shoes anymore that I charged. Here I am paying on a card, and I don't even know where the things are that I even purchased with the card. We're paying interest and paying on cards. We're paying for clothes we no longer wear, shoes we no longer wear, all these things, and it's costing us. And I didn't realize that you should only spend about 30% of your limit. I thought if they gave you $1,000 limit, that you should spend the entire $1,000. I didn't realize that impacts your credit score negatively. So we just have to be educated.
Yeah, and you look at that domino effect. So you're spending to the max. It impacts your credit. So then when you go to buy something else, i.e. a car or a house, and your credit has dropped, then your rate is going to be higher, commensurate with your credit, which means you're ending up paying more than you needed to for that house or that car or even insurance. Or the
Absolutely.
credit can impact your ability to get a job.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have a friend who applied with Equifax for a job a few years back, and she didn't get the job because of her credit. And she didn't realize that they were going to check her credit. She's like, what does that have to do with me getting a job? But I mean, that's what companies do now. They check your credit before they hire you.
Exactly. Well, one of the things that I know that you do with Wealth Waves, you have a book. Do you have that book near you that you share?
I do, the How Money Works book.
Yes, you want to tell people about it and how they may be able to get a copy of your book.
Absolutely. So How Money Works, this was written by one of my colleagues. And this book has been on over 100 television programs, ABC, NBC, CBS, CNBC. It's been on all the national shows, and it's the #1 personal finance book. And the reason people love it so much is because it was written for the average person. It was written in layman's terms. It's written so that a 14-year-old can understand it. Most financial books are not written for the average person. This book is just absolutely amazing, and it teaches you what was not taught in school. Because we're not taught about money in school. We're not taught how money works in school. And high school students were asked in a survey, what class would they benefit from the most? And they said a course on money management. And it's still not taught in school. So this book has gotten rave reviews. And like I said, because it is simple, it's funny, and it's powerful. And if you'd like a copy, you can send me a private message on Facebook and I can see about getting you a copy. It's on Amazon. It's on Amazon for $17. But if you want to DM me, I can see about getting you a copy.
Sounds good. Tracy, we're almost out of time. I'm going to take myself down so you can talk to the audience about how they can reach you, any services that you offer, and then I'll pop back on. Okay?
Okay. Well, just really quickly, LaWanna, I do want to mention, because September, although it's Prosperity Month, it's also Life Insurance Awareness Month. And life insurance is so critical and so important. Life insurance is something that we all need, because we know that 2 things in life are certain: death and taxes. So life insurance is critical, especially if you have people depending on your income. Life insurance is critical. And also, life insurance is not just for when you pass away. It also has living benefits. So if something happens, you become chronically ill, you become critically ill, you have an accident, you can't feed yourself, you can't bathe yourself, you can't toilet yourself, you can't transport yourself. Life insurance will provide those living benefits. It will provide you an income, a monthly income, to take care of those healthcare expenses. So I'm Tracy Oriomi, and I have enjoyed this conversation this evening. I can be reached on Facebook under Tracy Hill, Hill /Oriomi, Oriyomi. You can also reach me on Instagram under Tracy Oriomi. You can also reach me by going to my website, howmoneyworks.com/Tracy Oriomi, or you can send me an email at tracy.oriomi@wealthwave.com. And this has been fabulous.
Thank you so much, Tracy. Now I have in here, can they still reach you at WealthWave, Tracy Oriomi too?
They can reach me at, I prefer howmoneyworks.com. Tracy Oriyommi. But yes, they can certainly reach me there as well. wealthwave.com/Tracy Oriyommi. I've got a couple of websites, but I prefer the howmanyworks.com website. howmanyworks.com/Tracy Oriyommi. I know that's a long one, but that's where I can be reached.
Okay, I'm just putting that there. So we have it in here.
Because on that website, on that howmanyworks.com/Tracy Oriyommi website, there's a challenge. I would love for you to take the How Money Works challenge. It's a 5-question quiz that determines how financially literate you are. So I'd love for you to take that quiz.
Sounds good. Let me do this. I think this will work. All righty, here we go. Getting your contact information on here. There we go.
Okay. And that quiz is based on a quiz that S&P and Gallup gave to 150,000 people. They gave that quiz to 150,000 people, adults. 2 out of 3 adults could not answer the questions correctly. So these are not the exact same questions, but they're similar questions. And I highly recommend it.
Thank you so much, Tracy. And for those of you that are interested in learning more about how you can prepare your finances today to have a sustainable financial lifestyle today, and build for that future self, that older self, so that you have that sleep at night money, that peace that you need, please attend our boot camp. It's our 3rd annual one. We're going to miss having Tracy, but you're going to see her on the page. As pay attention, she's giving great tips every Tuesday. Reach out to her on our website that we have here, howmoneyworks.com, Tracy Oriyommi, and find out how her services can help you and how you can get a copy of the How Money Works book. So Tracy, thank you so much.
It was a pleasure, LaWanna. And I just want everyone to make sure, like you said, that they're looking out for their future self. Make sure you're looking out for your 85-year-old self.
Yes, yes. Well, to our listening audience, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Business and Financial Raw Talk, a no-holds-barred forum for leaders and innovators, where we've had the amazing Tracy Oriyommi here talking to us about your sleep at night money. So make sure you have that prepared. And just remember, when your vision and opportunity intersect, success is inevitable, and it's never too late to get your financial house in order. Until next time, again, thank you so much, Tracy, and everyone. Have a good night.
Good night. Thank you, LaWanna.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.